Welcome to Expedition Networking, a special segment of the Networking RX podcast. I'm Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and your host for this program. For those of you who are familiar, on the Networking RX podcast, we share information and have conversations with experts, such as authors, researchers, and social scientists. And all of these programs are aimed at helping you learn how to become better at building professional relationships and understanding why they work. In this Expedition Networking segment, however, we're going to bring on successful entrepreneurs and unique professionals and explore their networking adventure and learn how they used relationships to create lasting success. Today on Expedition Networking, we have Matt Vi and Dr. Ben Spears. They're co-founders of Prospect Boomerang, and they host the #1 real estate recruiting podcast called the Brokerpreneur Podcast. Matt, Ben, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks so much. I always take the first line. Matt, he starts to open his mouth. I'm like, thank you so much. I'm first.
All right, this is going to be fun and entertaining for everybody.
Yeah, hey Frank, we had a plan. We kind of blew it already. We had a plan. We were actually just going to freeze up, like we didn't know what to say. And then Ben started talking, and I got to jump in. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Oh well. Well, just I guess for a backstory on how we all met, it was shout out to Bob Berg. You guys were looking for some help with a webinar or a program you were putting on, and Bob said reach out to me. I don't know if that was a punishment. Maybe he was just trying to get back at you guys. Is what it was.
Yeah, maybe Bob's just like he's like,
yeah, those sons of bitches. I'm going to get them. Here's Frank. No, Bob is just a genuine guy, as you know, and I'm glad we had an opportunity to talk. But the more I've gotten to meet you guys and know what you're doing, I thought it would be good to have you on and kind of share your story as to how you're pulling this all together. So you guys can decide who talks, but if you could kind of give everybody a rundown of what Prospect Boomerang is about. People understand podcasts, but what you're doing in the real estate market, certainly. Well, we'll start there. What are you guys doing?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for having us on, Frank. We think the world of you. We talk about you all the time. You mentioned just a second ago that Bob was really a personification of his message, and the exact same thing goes for you. And Ben and I don't take that lightly. We believe that people are supposed to be leading with value in their relationships with other people. And you've done that, just so extremely well. And we're grateful to be on the podcast, and we're grateful to be connected with you. So let me start by saying that.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah. And then what I'll do is Ben will talk a little bit about I know you said the podcast, but kind of how we kind of met, right? And then I'll talk a little bit about what Prospect Boomerang does and everything, if that works for you.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, I was, long story short, I was a chiropractor in Kentucky, and I moved down to Tampa because my wife got offered her dream job. I say I accidentally got into real estate because there was just a time when my license wouldn't transfer, so I got my real estate license, and I had a lot of success in my first couple of years. Ended up at Matt's brokerage that he worked for. He wasn't my broker at the time. But again, like we all know the power of networking. So I love meeting people. I love hearing their stories and kind of, finding out, what is it that makes that person tick, or, what makes that person special. And I got him doing a podcast without me.
Okay.
Doing a podcast without me. And, but that just fostered, that much more of a friendship and a business relationship. So where, here we are now, but we started Brokerpreneur Podcast a couple hundred episodes ago, a couple of years ago. And it just kind of took off with brokers, real estate brokers, that is, across the country and across the world, really. And we have a blast doing it, and we just love it. But I'll let Matt talk about Prospect Boomerang.
Yeah, and so everything kind of started with the podcast, and I with my background in real estate and his background in marketing, the biggest thing that I saw that was a gap in the business is just a lot of people didn't know a lot about recruiting. And there's a lot of information out there, but the information is really fractured, for lack of a better way of putting it. And we believe that we believe the business has evolved, right? And it's not what it used to be. It's not just grind it out, make enough phone calls, you'll bump into enough people, you can hire them, hopefully they work. If not, keep making the phone calls, keep your foot on the gas, and you'll get what you want, right? We just don't believe that. We think that people are people, right? And people want to be in business with other people that they like, that they know, like, and trust, like we talk about all the time. And so, the way I recruited towards the end of what I did with real estate was very, very focused on that. And Ben was like, that's a good message if we can get it out to people. Of course, we're 11,000 downloads later. Top rated podcast. We get about 1,000 downloads a month on the podcast. We have clients from all over the country. We're in 50 different countries or something like that now, right?
Something crazy like that.
Yeah, and we're out there with a message, and we love it whenever we bump into somebody and talk to them, and they're like, yeah, because we're always doing this, right? It's always outbound. And so we hardly ever hear the inbound, but every now and again we'll bump into somebody in the inbound and they're like, oh man, your episode on candy corn was just incredible, and we love it, and the message was great and everything, and we get a kick out of that. We love being able to help. And so we know that the best way to do that is by having events and challenges that people can participate in, things that make real estate agents better. And so what we do is we allow our clients, through coaching and through things that we create, to be able to offer those things to the agents that are in the markets that they're at no cost, so that the agent can actually get the benefit of learning how to focus on their business and build it. The broker gets to build the relationship, the customer gets a better experience, and shit, we all win. I mean, how is that not something that everybody wants to be part of,
Right. So you guys don't do real estate at all anymore?
We do. So both of us, every now and again, somebody calls and says, hey, this, I got a referral right now for a 1031, for a commercial building. Somebody's leaving New York and coming to Florida, and they're going to 1031 into it. So we do that kind of stuff every now and again. Family members will say,
sure,
hey, I want to buy or sell, and we do that type of thing. But otherwise, we're focused on making sure that a prospect Boomerang is the top of the heap.
Well, and that doesn't surprise me in this real estate market. I mean, I was joking with a realtor this morning that somebody with half a mind could take a $300,000 house and list it and get it sold. I mean, it's easy money. Now it is, right? I mean, but this is all going to change, and that's really where your value comes in. So why did you guys decide, hey, we're going to do this? Was it one of you lose a bet, or just, hey, sitting around saying, hey, this would be, we ought to do, how did this all come together?
If that would have been the case, it would have been Ben losing the bet.
Yeah. Okay.
I lose it every day. I lost it this morning.
I love recruiting. And so I kind of coaxed Ben into it. He's like, yeah, that seems like a great idea. And then I just kept working the magic, and we kept working on it. And, I just pull stuff out of his head when it comes to marketing, and, how to take what's going on in real estate and how to make it get in front of enough people to help. And then he lets me ramble on about real estate. Right. And so,
right.
So that's kind of a win-win with both of us. And yeah, it's not, real estate is not something, both of us are probably the best way to put this is, we're business people in real estate is how we've both been. And he was a business person, of course, and a doctor, right? But he was kind of a business person first. And so all of that kind of matched with us whenever we were trying to figure out, what would be the best way of getting this information to the group of people that needed it the most. And so that's whenever, we kind of, jokingly, we say we lost the bet because, it's real estate. So some days are harder than others.
Yeah.
And so, we just decided to lean into it. And the days that I'm struggling, he's there. And the days that he's struggling, I'm there. And the day that we're both struggling, we got staff that's there, and everybody just kind of keeps everybody on track because we're a group of people working towards a common vision.
Yeah. So what it sounds like to me is you're really you're growing this by more or less giving information away, just sharing things with people, and that just attracts people in the door. I'm a huge proponent of that, and talk about it all the time. And I get a lot of strange looks from people. Why would I give it away? And I think really what it comes down to is you guys can give your knowledge away. It's the execution that people are paying for. right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the issue is, how much information is out there available in the world, right? So it's
It's
like,
all there.
yeah,
It's all
at your
there.
fingertips. Like who?
Yeah.
I talked to my wife. I'm like, man, what would I don't know that I would have ever gone to school if I would have had YouTube,
Right.
back when I was graduating high school.
Mhm.
But it's all there, and you're speaking about execution is absolutely perfect, because yes, it's one of those things. How many times do I know I need to go to the gym every single day?
Right.
I've got a box. I got some oatmeal cookies. How many times do I need to know? Yeah, I probably shouldn't just like grab an oatmeal cookie anytime that I'm getting hungry. I know that information. The execution of me,
Yeah.
trying to lose some weight is just not there. How about that? But
Yeah.
but all of that information is available, and from our standpoint, that's how we grow such a high quality network
Mhm.
of like-minded individuals, right? So we had talked a little bit before we got started about email open rates and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. Like our emails and things that we send out, to the people on our list, or to the connections that we have like a 50-60% open rate on all of those things. And I would have to imagine the other 40%, like, we're sick in bed that morning or something like that. But
Right.
it's only because they know, gosh, if Dr. Ben's sending me something, or Prospect Boomerang, or Brokerpreneur podcast, I know that this is value. I know that it's not just, some kind of cold pitch or something like
Right.
that. There's actually something in there that I want to read, to get some value from.
So I guess let's jump into, you work with brokers on building their teams. What's the advice you get them to, what's the advice you share for, attracting quality people or building that culture?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing is they need to know who they are, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't know who you are, forget about it. You can go out and do all the recruiting you want and all of that. You're going to end up with a splintered, fractured culture. You're going to be spending half of your time trying to get new people, half of your time, like Yogi Berra would say, people leaving, and then the other half of the time you're trying to train the ones you got to get them productive. You just can't do that. You have to know who you are first, be able to figure out who that is, and then go to where that audience is. This is what a lot of people miss. They might think they know who the audience is. Okay, I'm going to put the word might in there. They might think they know who their audience is, but then they try to go find them in a way that is convenient for them as the broker, instead of going to where the attention of that person actually is, right? And so that would probably be one of the first things, that if somebody really wanted to kind of go to that next level, take a step back, look at who you are, look at what you're good at, and then figure out how that can be in front of the people that you think would be a good fit for your office. And I don't want to be abstract about this. Okay. And so I'll ramble, Frank, you know this, and Ben knows this. I'll ramble all day about this. I love it. So just stop me if you need to stop me. Okay?
I just start clapping.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we can cut anything out of a podcast, Matt, right? We'll tune in and everything of you will be gone. No,
That's
go
right.
ahead.
Here we are with Dr. Ben today. With
Yeah.
So let's don't be abstract about it, right? So if you don't like training agents, and you don't have a lot of tools and systems that you're offering at your brokerage, then you're not going to go on social media and talk about offering CE classes. That
Right.
just doesn't make sense. Okay. And that seems like an extreme example, but it's not. I mean, I see things all the time on social media. I mean, you'll see it's akin to when an agent, the only time they post in social media is to say, here's my new listing. Here's the people I
Right.
just sold the house with. Here's the people I did this, right? And that's all they put out there. It's the same exact thing. It's sending the wrong message. Part of the reason why it's the wrong message is because they haven't taken a look at themselves to see who they really are, what they're good at, what they like doing, what they offer. They haven't taken a look at that. And then the second thing, the other big component of this part of it is where's that audience's attention at? So let's say it's the reverse of that. Let's say that you do like to train and you do like to coach and you mentor and a lot of your tools and systems, and you focus on the CRM and all of that. Then maybe what you want to do is you want to look at some newer agents, or some agents that have been for the past 2 years in that $1 million to $2 million production range. You go to the MLS and look at them and say, okay, how do I get them to that next step? And then you go to the board office and you say, hey, I want to offer some free coaching to any agent that's in this range. I'll send the information out. They can come in. I truly want to help. And then you're going to get exposed to a bunch of the people that are going to end up being the right people for who and what you are. So a lot of brokers don't want to spend the time doing that. You know,
Right.
if we got paid a dime for every time we heard somebody say, just make more calls. I mean, it's
We'd have a lot of dimes.
We'd have a lot of dimes.
Oh, I always tell people if I had a dime for every time somebody didn't do what they said they were going to do or should do, I wouldn't
Right.
need to be doing this, right? You guys would, you'd be fine. So,
Absolutely.
Does that approach ever conflict with the bigger organization? You have Keller, you have Remax, you have, and do they push their cultures down and, hey, you can't do that, or that's not really their model, or it doesn't lend itself well to it, or?
So it's, you really can't stereotype that. Right?
Okay.
Because there are some things from a franchise standpoint that some are better than others at, but the reality is it boils down to the broker. And so the tools that are offered, the shiny things that are offered, all that kind of stuff, there's some similarity. The training that's offered, there's some similarity, but how people execute things can be completely different, and how they filter out to their people can be completely different as well, right? So, part of the time that I was a broker, I was a regional manager for a large company that was a franchise company. And, there's 15 managers, 20 managers in the room whenever we were in our managers meeting. And some of them swore by social media. Other ones were like, you can't go on social media. That's a waste of an agent's time. And then half of them were saying networking groups don't work. And then the other half of them were saying you have to be in networking groups. And 2/3 of them were saying, right. So you're just all over that. You're all over the place. The truth is the office really mirrors the personality and the beliefs of the manager. Right. And so when you hear people talking about the death of the real estate office and all that kind of stuff, the risk really is how well can someone manage the relationships that they have with the agents and get a culture to them that's worth being in. How strong can they make that network? If somebody figures that out, then yeah, maybe brokerages will fall by the wayside. Until somebody figures that out, if you have no culture, if you have nothing that you believe in, that's how they're going to treat the customers. And everybody's going to be a free-for-all, and nobody's going to have any kind of brand identity or brand value. And the next thing you know, the entire public is just going to say, I want to do this a different way. And we just need that.
Yeah, you can line up 100 different brokerages, all that have the same brand or the same, powered by the same brand behind them, and every single one of their cultures are going to be completely different.
Right.
All because of that one guy or gal who's sitting in that broker's office that says, hey, today we're going to talk about this, or going to talk about that, or what they feel is important, or what they feel.
Right. Well, it's interesting. You look at some of the, well, I'm in Ohio, you're in Florida. I'm assuming it's pretty much the same, but you look at some of the successful brokerages and it's family. I mean, it's just, not in the literal sense, it's family. That's a Kentucky thing. No, but they come together as kind of a family. Sorry,
Been
Ben.
a good show. It's been a good show.
Yeah.
All the fun's about to leave.
Says the man from Kentucky.
Yeah. No, but you see these brokerages, and it's, they enjoy being together. And, I've talked to a couple people who are in brokerages. I was approached a couple months ago by somebody with EXP. They're trying to recruit me in to be a realtor. It's like, I don't want to be a realtor. This is stupid. But, I listened to a little bit of their pitch, and it's like, well, based on what you're saying, why isn't there this great sucking sound of everybody going over to EXP? And I'm not bashing them, but it's like, why are people stuck where they're at if that's so antiquated? And so I started asking a couple of brokers, or even agents, why are you there? Why do you stay? It's like, what, I like these people, but you could make a little more money. Yeah, but it's not worth it. The change is not worth it.
Yeah. There's so if you look at some large brokerages, and you pay a really close attention to them, some of them are they're sticky in their retention, which is what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Right? That's that family atmosphere. It's that family culture. And then other ones just have their foot on the gas all the time on recruiting. That's literally what they do, is they just recruit all the time. The difference is not the front door, it's the back door.
Okay. I was going to say, which is more successful, the first, the family, or the,
yeah. So both of them, both of them can be, but now let's talk about which one's most difficult to maintain.
Yeah.
The one that's the most difficult to maintain is the one that has a high attrition rate, the one that doesn't have the time to really develop and build the agent and create that relationship, because they're so busy trying to get that next person. It's no different than an agent that lists the house, gets it under contract, sells it, and never calls that seller again. It's the same exact thing.
Right.
There's I had a meeting with somebody for a couple of years trying to recruit them. They were with a large brokerage, and one that was very proactive about recruiting and everything. And so they were sitting down, coming on board with us, and we did some paperwork on day one, and then day two we were finalizing something because they had to make sure they got their checks and all that kind of stuff. And so day two we're finalizing, and they're sitting in the office and they're telling me about their exit interview with the company they just left. Like I said, it was a big company, right? So they're talking, and the person starts explaining what it is that the company of mine that they were coming to, what to expect. Right. So this other brokerage is trying to tell them now what's going to happen in the brokerage that they're with. And this was a father-son team. And the son says about halfway through her spiel about how they weren't going to get from us right? About halfway through the spiel, he says, "You realize I've been here 4 years, and this is the longest conversation you and I have ever had." And he said conversation was over, because the dad started laughing at that point. Right. The dad was like, that's a great point. We've talked a couple of times, but, we've spent more time with Matt and him helping us with what we were doing with our business, and we didn't even work for him, and now you're trying to convince us to not go work for him. And this is the longest you've ever talked to my son. I think that kind of just solidifies things. And from a big picture standpoint, that really is what happens with a lot of brokerages. It's either going to be about that relationship, that network, like you and I know, the same thing talk about every day, Frank. It's either going to be about that, or it's going to be about keep your foot on the gas and keep recruiting.
Do you attempt to talk people off of that? Well, maybe they're just comfortable with the keep recruiting. Let's just, we'll find the diamonds in the rough, just get enough people coming through. I'm not comfortable with that. I would much prefer to have long-standing relationships, just trust that people get better and better, and things work out better with a good relationship. Do people ever, who are in that recruiting mode, do they ever come away from that and kind of the Ebenezer Scrooge of, three ghosts of three Christmases kind of a thing, have that epiphany?
I just see them every now and again, and whenever I finally see them and they look exhausted and burn out, I'm like, hey, you want to talk?
Yeah. Ghost of Christmas past.
Yeah.
Ghost of Christmas wore the hell out. Because
Yeah.
how hard is that to have the beginning conversation all day long with everyone, and stay fresh and new yourself? Because if that's what you're focused on, you get these great people and you connect and you're like, boom, we're going to crush it together. And they get in there and they start working, but oh crap, I got to go back to keeping my foot on the gas. Now, all of a sudden, a month, 6 months, 2 years later, whatever, Ben's leaving, and I find out that he's leaving. I'm like, hey, wait, what's going on? I thought we had such a good connection. And he's like, yeah, we did, until it came time for me to do the things that I needed to do. And some people, the environment, that's what they like. Some agents like that. They're like, leave me alone. I just want to come in. I want to do this. There's no culture needed. There's no connection. There's no whatever, right? And they just come and do that until they see the gap. Yeah. As soon as they see the gap, then they're like, wait a minute, I want something else, right? I see that there's something. What do you mean it's not really about the money anymore? I want to go on vacation, and everybody in the office that I'm in is so distant from me. I don't have enough of a connection for me to take a break and hand something off to somebody else, because a transient office is what's been built. And so the other thing that happens is you're hiring so many, and now you're going to hire these other staff to keep them, and you got to hire these other staff to train them, and you got to hire these other staff and all of these other people to do all these other things, instead of just taking care of the right ones when they come in the right way.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was sitting, this is a little bit of a story, but I was sitting in Target parking lot with my sons in the car. My wife was in Target, that kind of thing. I meant to tell you about this, but it really made me think about exactly what we're talking about right now. And I kept watching, there's the guy or the gal who, comes out and they gather up all the carts and they make this huge limousine of shopping carts and they bring them back in. And the entire time that they're bringing them back in, there's customers pushing
Bring 'em.
shopping carts right back out beside of them, put them in that stall. And I told my wife when I got in the car, when she got in the car, I said, that has got to be like, for me, I like starting a job, finishing it, and being like,
Right.
my hands clean, man, that's really nice. Same thing from a recruiting standpoint. It'd be really nice to say, man, I'm recruiting all these great people in. At the end of the day, kind of wash my hands and I look at my brokerage, it's just full of everybody with smiling faces and that kind of thing. But when you're recruiting or anything that you're doing from a business standpoint, and there's that high attrition rate, it's very much like that guy who's going out there, gathering up all the carts, bringing them right back into Target. And while he's doing that, he's just watching carts. To me, that would be like the most deflating thing on the face of the earth.
But he's just looking at it like it's my job. He's just looking at it like they're carts, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One of our coaching clients yesterday, I was talking to her, and she's been probably 10 months with us, 8 months with us, something like that. And she got a little bit slower start on some of what she was doing because we had to put some things in place. Because of course we help with recruiting and we help with overall productivity. But sometimes that means that the structure that the broker has, they have to take a little bit closer look at that structure, make sure everybody's kind of in the right place, make sure their costs and expenses are in the right place. 70% of the clients that we deal with, we pay for ourselves just in helping them be more cost efficient.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's most of them. That doesn't even count whenever they hire somebody and they're making company dollar or fees or whatever it is they're making. Right. So I'm talking to her yesterday, and so she, she had somebody that left a couple of years ago, and she bumped into the person, and we literally got off of a coaching call 2.5 months ago, and we were talking about mindset stuff and how to interact with people and everything, and she bumps into the person that left her office 2 years ago, first time she's bumped into him, and it was fresh on her mind of just be there, be in the moment, right thing, see if you can help. And so she said, one of the things that we offer is we offer a marketing challenge. And she mentioned the marketing challenge to this person. Hey, you should do the marketing challenge because this will help you with your business and everything. And the lady was a little bit taken back because they didn't leave on the greatest of
Right.
It was just kind of out of the blue. So she didn't do the marketing challenge, but she had the conversation with her, did a little bit of follow up. 2 weeks later, they're having a couple of cups of coffee. After that, they went out and they met with their spouses, had dinner. So yesterday, that lady is on board. Okay, so that lady has already signed the paperwork. About a $4.5 million producer is coming on board. There's a person that she worked side by side with at the brokerage that she was leaving, that now they've met and is now asking our client, hey, I want to make this transition, but part of the thing that I want to do with this is I have 2 other agents here at the brokerage with me. I kind of want your permission to tell them a little bit about what I'm going to do because I'm getting ready to leave to come over to you. And I didn't want them to just kind of find out in the dead of night type of thing. And so of course our client is like, well, yeah, absolutely. Sure. Absolutely tell them. And he said, would it be too much of a problem if we all got together and just went and had a drink, like whenever we met with okay, so now all of a sudden, all of these people are just in this environment, which all started from our client just taking a step back and saying, doesn't matter what we thought the situation was of why you left. I want to help you out. Here is some absolute value for you that's going to be a big benefit. This is a total of about 13 million in production. And that will hopefully all come on board her way. And she is, of course, just smiling ear to ear, because now she sees that it's not just about, did I make outbound phone calls to somebody to see if they wanted to sit down and have a cup of coffee and join my brokerage. I actually showed them value that was about us being people together, about us sharing a network together, about us being in the same business and being able to collaborate. Now, all of a sudden, that's led into all of these other people. And there's no telling how much farther down the rabbit hole that will go. Because if those people come over and everybody's benefiting, the next thing she knows, she has a walkover of half of an office, just because she was putting those people first instead of her need to add people to her roster.
Gotcha. We're running short on time here.
My fault. Sorry.
It's I mean, yeah, it is, but he's going to be cut out anyway, so we have plenty of time, Ben. No, it's all good. People are listening. How can they help you? How can they get a hold of you? We'll finish up with that.
You want me to take that one?
Yeah, you got that.
Guys, if you're listening to us on iTunes, Spotify, I'm just joking. The best way to reach out to us, is just by email. Send me an email, ben@prospectboomerang.com. Same thing with Matt at prospectboomerang.com. Of course, you can go to prospectboomerang.com and check out, all the cool things that we have there. Whether you're a broker or not, we would absolutely love to have that connection, meet with you. And if there's anything you can just share some information, that'd be great. Go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com, and that's where you can find our broker facing podcast. And if you're an agent, we have another podcast. It's called Brokers Open Podcast, and we talk about agent productivity on that one as well. So those are the three best places to kind of learn more about us, and of course connect with us on LinkedIn or any other platform you want to search us.
And we just want to help.
Yep.
So please reach out to us for anything real estate. We will either help you or find the person that can help you out. We seriously want to be part of your work. So,
all right. Well, I appreciate your time today, guys.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.